I said by Friday. Guess what day it is today, guys? Oh, yes, it's the last day of the week for CME. Thank you for joining me on Simon's Trading Channel. Hope you're all well. It was a smashing day, as good as mine. I went for a bike ride today, went a bit off the beaten track and ended up on a disused mountain railway. And that was quite weird, actually, cycling a bike in between the tracks on a railway. It was kind of funny. It was a good experience, and it also felt a bit dramatic, even though this was not a used railway. But your mind makes up scenarios sometimes, and I could see the scenario in my mind of the train coming around the corner and beeping its horn, and me having to go and jump off the track. But fortunately, that didn't happen, and I made it back with my itchy ear to record a video for all you wonderful people. So yes, thank you for joining me, and if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. Okay, so Bitcoin looks like it may have done it at last. So I had the 62,000 for daily closures, and indeed there are still 3 hours left. So I'm not counting this as a success quite yet, but it is starting to look more likely. And indeed, you can see, depending on where Bitcoin does close in the next 3 hours, so it's around about 63.5 now, the MACD should continue rising and get jolly close to that zero line, as long as Bitcoin doesn't break down and close today below 59,000, which I think is unlikely. And then there'll be another daily closure, and it'll be a bit closer. And you can see now the number for which the price needs to be to get the MACD to cross the zero line. Wow, that was a bit of a mouthful. It's getting closer and closer to where price is. And I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out, following today's closure, to be pretty much 64, something like that. So not a million miles away from prices, and that will be momentum back to the upside in my predefined Simon's momentum decision making tool. The 4 hours doing the same, but at last you can see how it broke the top of this line. I was talking about mini range yesterday, which didn't get broken down. It was on the 15-minute time frame, but the 4 hour time frame range was just like this, and that has now closed. You like a couple of closures. This is a 4 hour candle, remember, not a daily. The next 4 hour candle's got another 3 hours to go, but certainly this one did close above the range, which to me is a signal for more upside. How much more upside, I hear you scream. Tell us, Simon, tell us. And obviously the 4 hour momentum continues to the upside. I will tell you, and I'll make a little bit of a logical prediction. So I would need the rest of the Fibonacci on at this point, which I can do very easily, just by doing this and this. So the next level up on the Fibonacci retracement here of that whole move down there would come in around 65,000. Now, it wouldn't be surprising if Bitcoin gets or hits some resistance there, because after that you'd probably expect to move back up somewhere towards the high 60s. 60, 65, 66. Yeah, that's definitely 65, 65.5 is probably a resistance area. And then, yeah, I think a move into the deep 60s should Bitcoin be able to clear the sort of 65, 66 region. Sorry, I'm playing with my beard. It's a nasty habit of mine. And then it'll be knocking on the door of high 60s, 70k. Let's have a look to see how many knocks Bitcoin has already made on that door. So to do that, I'm just going to delete all that off the screen and move this little gizmo out of the way. Come on, gizmo, don't be a gremlin. Be a nice, friendly gizmo. There we are. And I might have to move my bonds as well. Oh, yeah, well, stand by for movement bonds. Just so I can get to the little bin there. Okay, so if I then switch to probably a weekly time frame, and you can see there have been several attempts around the sort of 70k mark. The last one was the week that opened on the 29th of July. So that had a good go at 70k, but bounced off it. Then these two closures over here were below 70k. So this wick. So there's been probably at least four goes after the all-time high was set in. 4 goes at breaking back above 70,000. Is this going to be the fifth is the question on my mind. And I'm swinging round to a more positive answer. You can see the MACD on the weekly has fallen a long way down and is close to the zero line but hasn't closed below it. And you can see the number for which a weekly closure needs to occur on Bybit to turn this from red to green. And this from red to green is 38. Just call it 64. Don't know why I said 38. Call it 64. So a bit of work for Bitcoin to do, but that will be on Sunday, remember. If I check in with CME is 65 and CME is, only got 9 minutes to go. So it's not going to flip the momentum green, but it's, going to level off and then see what happens next week for CME. But that's a nice closure for CME. It's not a tremendous one. It's filled the gap and a bit. But it's okay. It's all fine. It's not going to set the world on fire, and it is still continuation and consolidation. But what it isn't is a breakdown. So that bodes well for investors, longers, and certainly for people who bought down here. Right. What else have I got to say? I think that just about covers it. So would not be surprised if Bitcoin does indeed hit some resistance up around 65, if it doesn't before then. Yeah, it might get some resistance here. Yeah, it might get a bit of resistance here. A nice technical move on the lower time frames would be something like this. So you can see the range high there. Nice technical move, which would give some short time frame people another entry point would be that. That would look very nice because that would be a retest of the of what was the resistance, and then you would expect it to be support. So yeah, looking for support around 61.5, somewhere between 61.5 and 62 for more upside on Bitcoin. Okay, take care, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.